Hi there, welcome to my studio. Thanks for checking out this video. If you're new here, my name is Siobhan. I share videos about a dynamic and expressive approach to drawing the figure. I help figure drawing students break through blocks and discover their unique voice through drawing. So if you're interested in figure drawing, then definitely subscribe to this channel and stay in touch. And I also write about figure drawing every week over on Substack, and I'd love for you to join me there. So I've left a link to that in the description as well. In today's video, I wanted to share my process for a drawing exercise that I think helps you to loosen up and get more expressive in your drawing style, while also helping you to study the structure and form. Taking just one section of the figure and focusing on drawing just that in a gestural and loose way is a great technique to develop your drawing. Today I was making some quick studies of the leg, so in this video I wanted to share my own demo, talk about the process, and also talk about 3 reasons I think that you should consider this approach as a drawing exercise in your own work. So for reference material, you can easily pull up images from Pinterest. That's an excellent resource. Or if you wanted to just use a model reference that you're used to working with, that's fine too. But just for this exercise, if you do use a full model reference, stick to just one section. In this case, it's the legs. Don't draw the entire pose for this exercise. And for materials, I'm using a Conte pencil on newsprint paper, but you can use any materials you like. For this particular exercise, I'm not overly focused on breaking down the anatomy and trying in any way to draw the muscles or the bones in any sort of academic sense. Using a gestural approach means that you're just drawing loose lines to find the rhythms throughout the forms. You're following the shapes that you see and unifying them with your line work. So in other words, I'm only going to draw and observe the visible surface forms. This is very counterintuitive if you're someone who likes to draw precise muscle shapes and bone structure, and if you're more used to constructing or designing a figure. But remember, in this approach, we're exploring form with a gestural line. So instead, follow the flow lines, follow the movement throughout the form without naming and identifying the specific anatomy. This is a great training, and I've outlined in another video how something as simple as this can really unlock your drawing if you practice this every so often. But let's talk specifically about the 3 reasons that I think this particular exercise is useful for figure drawing students. Firstly, it's incredibly interesting to notice what your instinctive way of drawing is, or to watch how you draw naturally. And this exercise gives you that opportunity. We're mostly, very often, just drawing to achieve a particular outcome. And when that happens, we can dampen down our own natural instincts in favor of being a little bit more accurate or in favor of achieving a certain outcome. This loose way of drawing allows for experiment, and it can be very insightful into how you naturally draw. Not only is gestural studies like this a great way to be more experimental in your approach to drawing, but it crucially focuses on the process instead of the outcome. And when you do that, that's when you open a direct pathway to your natural way of drawing. So for that reason alone, spending time to draw in a responsive and instinctive way like this, whilst focusing on one section at a time and really focusing on observing, it'll be very beneficial to your practice overall. The second reason is that it quite obviously helps you to develop better line quality. This kind of gestural drawing, if you're following the flow of forms and allowing your line to be loose and searching, will just naturally help you to become more confident in your mark making. And being confident in your line work is only going to help you to get better line quality. not least because you put absolutely no constrictions or directives on your lines other than searching out the forms. You can, of course, achieve accuracy through this method, and you're still trying to find the shapes through the line work. You're not drawing completely abstract, but by simply avoiding a sort of preconceived notion of what it is you're drawing, you'll often end up with a more truthful drawing than if you started out with ideas of how your lines need to look or how you need to make a line. All the time, throughout this process, you're focusing on your subject and you're just letting your response to what you observe come through in the lines and marks. Now, there may be a lot of shading that you do have to bring into drawings like this. It's not just pure contour lines, but the shading doesn't need to be prescriptive either. Remember, this is not a technical drawing. So in this exercise, you're not aiming for photorealism or proper technical shading. You're just looking for ways to use your lines and your tones intuitively. The third reason that this exercise is great is because it improves how you look at your subject. In this case, we're just focusing on one section of the figure, so that already is a lot easier than drawing the entire figure. And normally, especially with something like the anatomy of the leg, it's all too easy to start listing the anatomical features like a sort of template, and to then try to make a drawing based on that list, or a drawing that conforms to that sort of list of anatomical features. The trouble is that this will lead you towards making a drawing that might not necessarily be truthful to your reference. So spending a few minutes engaged in this kind of an exercise where you don't care too much, or at least you're not thinking too much about the labels that you normally attach to anatomy. Instead, you're just thinking of what it is you're looking at right here, right now, and that has a powerful effect on your drawing process overall. You'll start to see things in your reference that you actually never noticed before. You'll start to see nuances of anatomy that you thought you knew that are actually unique and particular to this specific reference, and you will never have noticed any of that if you had the initial intention of drawing a preconceived idea of what the anatomy is. Following the forms and allowing yourself to just be responsive and intuitive when it comes to drawing those forms really helps you to see deeply. It really helps you to see more the longer you look at your reference, and that really is the key to drawing. So if you work with this exercise over time, it develops in you a much more sensitive approach to drawing the figure, one that is less heavy-handed on anatomy per se, or anatomy for its own sake, and instead one that is much more considered in terms of simply drawing what you observe. I mentioned in my last video that true gesture drawing is a way to develop your singular and unique signature. And that is a signature that you bring into your longer drawings, into the more finished drawings where you are focusing on accuracy and realism. That is the thing, that's the key that will give more detailed and more accurate drawings that indescribable quality of a unique expression. That's the element of life that makes a drawing feel much, much more than a one-dimensional anatomy study. And a simple exercise like this one is a great way to practice and develop your signature in drawing. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you got some useful information out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if this approach to drawing anatomy resonates with you. I know I, for one, much prefer to draw in this way, especially for short exercises where I know I can spend 10 or 20 minutes drawing. It takes the pressure off completely for having to achieve anatomical correctness, and it allows you to learn things about your own drawing style that you didn't know before. So don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join me on Substack if you want to receive my weekly newsletter about figure drawing. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.